Off to a good start. Justin, you want to lead us in our invocation?
Yes, sir. Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father God, we love you. We just praise your name for all things today. Lord, we thank you for the many blessings you give. God, I pray that you just continue to be with our community, with our leaders. Lord, I pray that you give them wisdom. Lord, I pray that you just continue to watch over us and guide us. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Samantha, can you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and convene our meeting. Start with the roll call. Misty Cottle.
Yes, here.
Jeff Upton. Here. Jan Throgmorton.
Here.
Marty Lindaberry.
Here.
John Collins.
Here.
Dina McKnight.
Here.
Don Rollins. Here. Jimmy Condiff. Our city attorney and city clerk are both present. First item on our agenda is the adoption of our agenda, and we do need to amend it to add a memorandum of understanding with the school. So if there's no objections to that or any other changes, we would entertain a motion.
I think we should.
I'll make a motion with the changes, that we accept it.
Second.
I thought we was going to start off to a good start. All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is the approval of our meeting minutes from November 8th. Do we have any changes that need to be made to those?
I make a motion we accept them as they were written.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is our public forum. Do we have anyone who would like to address the council tonight? Yes, sir. Tell us who you are.
I'm Steve Winkler. Some people call me that darn Winkler.
That darn Winkler. Okay, I'll make note of that.
I got a couple of comments and I'll be brief. We had the election. I didn't get enough votes to win. And so I'm conceding the election because the reason is because I'm a Democrat. And it's our custom in the Democrats to, when we lose and don't get enough votes, and we can concede to the winner. And then there's a little analysis I think is kind of interesting with the election was that there were three candidates for mayor. I got 32%, which really just surprised everybody. You know, when you see all the negative stuff that comes my way in the years. And so I'm the progressive, the liberal, the woke, the guy that puts Black Lives Matter sign in his yard, or the guy that puts Bernie Sanders sign in his yard, that guy, and 32% voted for me. The other guy was 15%, his name's Ray, got 15%, he's a Christian nationalist. So you add those two up, the 32% for the lefty and 15% for the Christian nationalist, you get 47%. And that, the way I interpret that is that 47% of the people in West Fork voted against the incumbent. So, but of course the 50% prevailed.
53.
Yeah, 53% prevailed. 47% thought that there ought to be somebody else to be mayor. So, it's just an analysis, elections, they get analysis. So that's just to me is an interesting observation, and I really am kind of surprised that a lot of people have come up to me and really congratulated me and for doing so well, and it seems to have inspired the people of my political persuasion, the lefties, and tree huggers and the wokes and all that stuff. And so I think you're going to see in the next election in 2 years, before council seats. And I think you can be sure that there's going to be some people running for those seats that aren't on there right now. So the other observation is just a kind of a little side was that the first order of business for the new mayor this tonight is a vote on an ordinance to give him a raise. I don't know, it's just, I won't even make a comment, but you win the election and the first thing you want to do is give a raise. That's all I got to say.
Okay. So, thank you for that. Be it noted that the next person that runs for mayor needs to put out more than one sign. Anybody else want to address the council tonight? Nope, all right. We'll close the public forum and move into the business reports. Planning Commission, Mr. Harnish.
Good evening. So we've had 2 meetings since the last time I gave a business report. We had our special meeting on the 10th of November where we got our survey results, and it told, not a whole lot of surprising things, like the grocery store is the most used business for anybody inside or outside the town. But we did learn that the most concern for people was the lack of affordable housing, and that is what we need more of currently and what we might be lacking on coming the next 20 years. So we got to figure out how to figure that into it. And then also the biggest concerns from the survey results, and just talking to people in general, was the medium density zoning category allows for too dense of development. So we're having Juliet Ritchie look into something that maybe encompasses a more lesser dense category. We'll see. And the other was the placement of the proposed roads, which is another thing we're looking into as to what requirements are in that, as to if we want through roads cut in from developers, somebody builds a new subdivision, we want that road to continue on. Do we have to have that line on a map arbitrarily, or is there some way to get around it? Yeah, so, Mayor,
Yes, I can answer that.
no, he's answering yes. Okay, good deal. So
I mean, if you want to require
the developer to
in a development,
Mhm.
you can't come in later and say, hey, we want a road our stuff's pretty clear. It was actually a Fayetteville case from like 83 or something like that,
okay.
where that was established, that basically if you want to have these requirements, you have to have them pretty well defined.
Okay.
And the master street plan's how you do roads, so,
All right.
as well as examples.
Juliet Ritchie had mentioned there was some case law regarding that, and so
I can't remember the name of it, but it's versus Fayetteville. Fayetteville's
Okay.
made a lot of law in that, in
Okay.
planning, so.
well, those are the 2 main concerns from the survey, and the main So and then after that, we had our regular meeting on the 17th, where we had a little bit to do. We had a couple of lot line adjustments. They were pretty routine. We had an application for a rezone from a Deborah Province, which we had scheduled for this tonight, but she couldn't get her paperwork together for the deadline, so we have now rescheduled it for on the 19th before our regular commission meeting. We also then scheduled another public hearing for revising Title 15403, which is our procedure for subdivision plat approval. And that was last night. We had a huge turnout for it. Not really, but it wasn't too controversial. It was just cleaning up some of the language and then making it easier on the deadlines for what both the applicant brings to the city and then what the city has to give in decisions to the applicant. So that was all that was, and you want me to go ahead and give the recommendation on that, or?
Let's hold off. We've got it. We have it on the.
We did
on the
reach a
agenda.
determination on that. But then also on our 17th meeting, we finally adopted some updated bylaws for both the Board of Zoning Adjustment and the Planning Commission, which reflects the new layout of the way our members are, the terms of service for our members. And then we also redetermined our commission officers. I will stay on as chair, Jimmy Forrest will stay on as vice chair, and Elizabeth Hale is staying on as secretary. And then that's all I got. Our next special meeting is January 12th here at 6:30, so please people show up, and then we've got our next regular meeting on the 19th after that. So any questions for me?
No? Thank you, sir. Next, Tracy, you want to give us the court report?
I don't have a lot to say. My disbursements are down. I don't know why. I have no control over it, Anyway, I do know that we issued a lot less warrants this month, and that is just because we were short on time, not because we didn't need to issue them. But anyway, our year-to-year citations are very close to the same. We had 3683 and 3621, but then the disbursements were down about 49,000 from what we were at this time last year. That is, I mean, business as usual is all that we have going on, I guess. You know, except for the limited hours and that sort of thing.
Any questions for Tracy? No? Thank you, Tracy. Blair?
Good evening. So this month, our checkout statistics are up by 536 books. We have 64 new books in the library. But if you use our Libby app, we have over 1,000 new ebooks and audiobooks. A lot of people don't know that, like, we have the physical books in the library, but we also have access to the Libby app, and there's a lot more on it. So, so check that out. In programs, the gift wrapping station was a really big hit last year, so we brought it back this year. So you can come to the library and wrap your gifts. We have wrapping paper and bows and tape and scissors and all that good stuff. You can do that until the 23rd. Last month we held a crocheting class with Nancy Starr as a part of our homesteading series. We also held a workshop on herbs with master gardeners Eileen Wilson and Carolyn Griffith. And then lastly, I want to give a shout out to the Friends of the Library group who held their annual breakfast with Santa at the community center. They made pancakes for over 200 people throughout the day. And right now in the library they have the Silent Christmas auction going on. And the bidding on that ends tomorrow at noon. So you have till tomorrow at noon to come put your bids on things. Is there any questions?
No?
All right,
Thank you,
y'all.
Blair. Chief Nelson?
Oh, how much did the breakfast raise?
I don't know yet.
We had 378 calls for service, 109 citations with 145 warnings, 9 arrests and 56 warrants that we served. Two things I want to point out as far as training. Williamson just completed an accident reconstruction course. That was a month long, so that took a lot of sacrifice from my guys, as well as him. And if you don't like algebra, I'd never take that class. It's horrible. And then Riley also finished up an RMR class that will make him an instructor in red dot sights for anybody that knows what that is. That's on your handgun. So he had to shoot over 1,000 rounds, and he did really good. So, any questions?
I kind of like how you said that. He had to. It would say he got to, huh?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, after 1,000 rounds, you're tired of loading that weapon.
I don't know.
So Isaac is absent tonight. He's sick. Nick, did you have anything you needed to report to us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not much, but
Come on up.
I'll be quick. Just a few items.
Let's see, on our big project, I think I mentioned last time, we were starting the manhole repairs. We have finished everything on the West Fork manholes. We've signed off on those. We've accepted those. They're working on the Fayetteville side. They've got half of them ready to coat. The weather hasn't been real cooperative. The rain and then the moisture makes them wet inside. They're trying to get them dried out, but they're assuring me they're going to finish it up by the end of the year, like I asked them kindly to last month. So that's going well. On the closure, we have consent administrative order that we'll be closing out by the end of the year and can close out the permit and everything. I've got that, everything prepared. I went and took pictures of the site. It looks beautiful out there. They did a fantastic job, but I've got all my documentation. I'm just waiting on one item from city attorney to help me with on a.
What, a deed restriction? I just was looking at that from Christie. What, did we take the deed and
It just needs to have a restriction that identifies prior use as a treatment facility on the site. And if there are any residuals left, which we removed all the biosolids, so we just have to, there has to be a deed restriction that rides with that deed that says that it's used to be a treatment facility out there.
Just kind of tell the world that what that property is.
Yeah, if there was a past use, and that was in the last consent order amendment that we got, where they said, you know, here's what you need to close everything out. So I've got everything else already packaged up and ready. Once we have that done, I can turn that into them and be done, and they'll release you from what, 7, almost 8 years of
Yes.
that. So that'll be a very big step. End of year is, you know, my deadline there. Other update on ARPA, you know, the projects were awarded on December 2nd by ANRC. I know West Fork, y'all, we got three total projects. We got the reimbursement for the big project at $800,000. We got reimbursement for Isaac's in-house projects for sewer, which was about $73,000, and then the homestead project was also funded for getting them connected to the city of West Fork. Now that one is, you know, they funded 50% of the total cost. So my next step, Christy's going to be helping me out. We've already talked. I owe her an application to go through, but the next step is to apply for principal forgiveness through ANRC. We've already talked to Debbie Dixon down there. They're having a meeting in March to review projects that are asking for principal forgiveness, because we've been very clear that the only way that project to happen is all grant money. That the city isn't in a financial position to take on more loan, and they understand that. So plan is to get that application in January, and then keep our fingers crossed for March. And if the funding goes through, then we'll get moving very quickly on that project. We'll have about 9 months at that point to get a project surveyed, designed, permitted, and out to bid, and construction contracts awarded. So it'll be fast and furious. But it's about a $2.2 million project.
Will the work have to be done in 9 months, or just the contract, like the paperwork?
Just the design, and we have to go out to bid and then actually select a contractor and issue a notice of award. And then construction needs to be complete by the end of 26, but that won't be a problem. It'll probably take roughly a year or so to do that work. So anyways, we're hopeful that we can get the other half of the money to get this done. So anyways, y'all have any questions for me?
So, a couple things, and I think we discussed this in the November meeting. On these award contracts, the big one, the $800,000, has to go straight back to the bonds. We have to pay it straight back. Do we know when that will actually take place, when we'll be able to see that?
I hadn't heard, when I talked to Debbie last week, we were focused on homestead and kind of like what do we do there. I haven't gotten an answer yet on how soon that money will come. I wouldn't think, I know for the projects that are moving forward, that are in progress, the funding is more like springtime next year once they certify funds. But for y'all that have already done the work, I would hope it would come sooner. She did say that they've gotten y'all's request for interest rate reduction as well, and they're going through that. So hoping with paying down $800,000 and
That would be a great time for them to refinance it.
with a 1.25%, 1.5% interest rate reduction should help reduce that debt service, from wherever it is now. I mean, it'll help for sure. And then if we can get homestead connected, that's another revenue stream as well. So
Does it go from do you do a gravity hookup to each home?
that's what we're proposing, is just to get rid of all the individual step systems, all the little pumps and
The
tanks at each house, connect to a gravity sewer and just pipe it down to the new 15-inch that we put in service a couple of years ago. Just go complete gravity, and that way, operation and maintenance costs. If we connected the pressure system, it'd be a lower initial cost overall. But all those that we've heard talking to the residents out there, the tanks and pumps are failing. They weren't they were put in 15 years ago. That it's just a matter of time before more issues arise. So
Okay.
we figure if we're going to fix it, we'll fix it right for the long term. For this, especially if the city's taking ownership, you know, it's don't want to add a bunch of maintenance and burden to them.
So they can pull their tanks, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And they can pull their, they don't have leach fields, but they can pull their tanks then and get,
Yeah, that would be part of this project cost too. Is at each house when they hook up the sewer, they
Pull the
demo
tank.
out and pull the tanks and the pumps and decommission the little treatment system up there in the drip fields and get it all.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have to pull the tanks because they're plastic.
I think so. Or I think typically we pull them out just so they don't sink in or anything. They'll want to do it properly out there. So.
So Nick, and this is kind of outside of the purview, but when we design that, can we design that so that it would make for an easy bore and connecting to the east side of 71 right there? Is that, I mean, can that be a potential tie-in spot if the east side of the road, east side of the highway was
I didn't even
to
think
develop?
about that. That is a potential there. I hadn't thought that far ahead, but that's definitely, if we do get the project funded, that's something we could look at putting something there. And that may be something the state asked for the city to contribute a little bit towards. I know on the last project when we wanted to do stub outs, they said, well, if you want to do those, you got to do them yourself or pay for that to benefit yourself down the road. But that's an opportunity for sure there with a system. We'll need to maybe talk some more about that, but making sure the pipes are big enough then
Right.
too. What we
Yeah.
have is definitely more than enough for 80 houses, and an 8-inch line can take quite a few more houses than that too. So.
Any questions for Nick?
Yeah, I was happy with the awards. I know the water project didn't get it. The water ranking was pretty tough. We got almost shut out on the other applications we submitted for other clients. So we got 6 that we went after, and 3 of them were for y'all. So
I felt like we had a home run with it.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for
it was-
all you did.
Yes.
I was happy to see that y'all got 3. And I know some of the neighbors weren't there, kind of grumbling. It's like Westport got 3 projects and we didn't get nothing. But y'all definitely have the need, and that was definitely seen and awarded that way. So anyway.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, sir.
Have we got anything out of Fayetteville yet from here?
So from the last meeting, they tabled that until
March 7th.
7th, yeah.
Is the next meeting when they will hopefully have everything together to talk about rates. So, my hope is that discussions will be had between you all and the city of Fayetteville prior to that meeting. I think that's the intent.
That's the intent on this
So
side.
if we're not seeing those happening, it may get tabled again. I know last month it was meant to get pushed and it just slipped through and ended up on the agenda, so they just had to table it. So and we'll see what happens in March.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Parks, Chad.
Parks Committee did meet late last week, but it was late enough that I wasn't able to get our minutes prepped and in your packet, so the minutes for the meeting will be in your January packet. But some of the things we're working on, we have started the process to acquire our restrooms at Riverside, and we've also been looking at site prep and installation of those when they do get here. They're probably, he's telling me, probably around 4 months out. So, but hopefully we can get them in time for the spring, the busy time. As he's running the sidewalk down through there, he's making sure we're getting utilities down through there as well, running sewer pipe down through there with it and things. So we should have those soon. I'm excited about that. I may regret it when they get here, but I think the community will enjoy them. So.
And is it gonna be about where they are now?
Yes, they're going to be setting a little bit differently, but yes, pretty much in that same area where the porta potties are setting now. Also, we've shut our tennis courts down. The upgrades to those have started. The asphalt, the resurfacing of those should be done within the next week, depending on the weather. But the fencing that's going to go back up, the new fencing stuff, is taking a little bit of time. It's been ordered and they're waiting on that, but we're looking, it could be shut down for as long as a month. It probably gonna be sometime in January before they get the fencing back up. But if you're gonna have them closed, it's a good time to have them closed. We also have started laying out our trail, our nature trail that's gonna go through this golf course, and we've flagged it for the most part. We're gonna tweak it a little bit as we get in there and start clearing, but that should start, we're gonna start working on that later this week, or early next week as well. We also are preparing for our summer ball registration, believe it or not. That's coming up. We're about a month away from that as well. We did decide, the committee at our meeting decided, we reviewed all the forms, decided to leave those pretty much the same. And we're gonna leave all the fees the same again this year, so all the fees will be the same. We are looking, Christy and I are looking at a possible way to do that online, as well as being able to pay online. So hopefully that'll work out and make it more convenient for the people that are signing up, for sure. We may have to come to them with some stuff, to come to you guys with some resolutions or ordinances or whatever it takes to get that done, once we figure that all out. And then we have been working on Christmas lights a lot, so we've spent a lot of time in the last month getting those working and up and going, and I think we're pretty well there. We've got a couple of things. We've got one more thing at City Hall that we're going to do, and then of course we'll light our tree tomorrow night. Now the tree's not that big a secret. I do want to give thanks to Unity Covenant Church. They donated the tree that actually goes on the pole out there, and I just wanted to give them a big thank you and props for that. I think it looks outstanding. We've done some testing on it. I think it looks really good. It's going to be a little bit nicer than our old tree, so I'm excited about that. So tree lighting, the parade, all that tomorrow night. The weather's supposed to be pretty good, so everyone come out and your float hopefully will be ready. Have y'all worked on it? Anybody?
No, I've asked about it. I've
Oh.
stayed on Amanda. Just kidding. I did text her about it last week, though.
So we
She's
do
so
need to be at the fire station tomorrow night around 6 o'clock. Okay. Everybody that can be, catch your ride at the fire station, 6 o'clock. Your chariot.
Do we know how many will be on the float? Will everyone be there?
Just me and Dina.
Okay.
And you're gonna be there.
10, less than 10, how many?
Should be at least 7 of us, right?
I guess everybody but Jan, right?
No,
Oh, you're working.
You won't be there?
John's gotta work too. Two of us won't.
And
I'll be there.
I don't know about Jimmy.
Jimmy
So
probably won't either at the rate.
We'll make sure.
less than 10.
Okay, we'll have plenty of room then.
Samantha may want to ride with us.
She take notes. Less than 10 or less?
Yeah.
Okay, we can handle that. I think that's all I've got.
I do have a question. Stage and bathrooms at Carter Park update.
So the stage, we're still working on that. We are talking with a company that we're hoping that will help us out with that on a sponsorship. And just, it's still, we're working on it. I don't have a great update other than that. We're making phone calls, we're looking at plans, we're trying to get some concrete numbers and the best way to do it. And so, but it's definitely something we're working on.
Are we thinking that's gonna be next year?
Well, we hope if everything goes well, it'll be done definitely in this calendar year, and hopefully by summer or before. That's our
So are
hope.
you trying to get someone to pay for the whole thing?
Well, that'd be nice, but it's probably not
Well,
gonna happen.
yeah,
But
I mean, I was
we would
wondering-
really like, with the people we're working for, at least a big chunk of it. Yeah. So that's something we're working on right now. We'll see how that goes. We're working with a specific company to see if they're willing to do a lot of the work and possibly take in some of the cost as well. So.
That seems almost code. But what Ted's saying is The Parks Committee they've discussed many different plans for that stage.
Yes.
And there's been a couple members of the Parks Committee are wanting to talk to a construction person
And
to
have
see.
been.
And have been.
Yes.
They're in contact with them to see if
I've talked to
they
them
would
myself as
perhaps
well.
be willing to.
The original thought is that they would pay for most of it. We'll put their name on it, whatever it takes.
Right.
But I don't think that's gonna happen, but we're hoping to get some of it taken care of through them, if possible. So. That's where we're at on that. So that's about it. Anything else?
Isn't the chili that's being sold tomorrow night, goes to Shop of the Cop?
It's not being sold. They are gonna have a donation.
I wasn't sure about
Yes.
that, so,
Yeah,
okay.
there won't be anything sold there tomorrow night. They can't ask for donations. That's what they did last year, and I think they
Right.
did better taking donations than they did if they'd have charged. So, they will have a donation jar up, and I do believe it. Does it go to, I'm not sure.
I think it does, I think that's what I read, it goes through the Shop of the Cop, doesn't it? He's like.
If Mark was here, we'd
Council
ask
Police
him, but
Department?
Yes, yes.
That's the.
he says yes.
Yes, okay.
Goggins says yes, so,
If it ain't, he's gonna take it
Yeah,
I'm not sure on that.
so let it be written.
But, yes, they are gonna have a donation jar.
Okay, I knew there was something about it, but I wasn't sure.
We'll have, as far as I know, we have fire department doing chili. Unity is doing hot dogs and nachos. Sikh Church is doing cocoa and cookies.
Yeah.
Come on, Christy, you're supposed to help me out. And then there's another church that just signed up in the last day or two that is going to do popcorn. I'm not sure which one it is. Amanda told me, but I forgot. Just honestly. So there'll be lots of treats, good times.
Any other questions for Chad? No?
Thanks for working on our book.
Do we have to do
I can't take much.
ugly sweater tomorrow?
Brian, Kickline
No.
has worked on it. We worked on it, Isaac, some of these guys. We ain't put a lot of time. into
I'm
it,
gonna
but
wear
it's-
mine though. Yeah, I'm wearing my ugly
I'm
sweater.
sure any sweater you have, we would consider an ugly sweater. Sorry.
Ooh, that's a
I guess I'm on the naughty list now.
Just so you know, no?
I'm just kidding.
So,
sit down or?
yeah, I was just gonna ask, Chief Nelson if he had ran a timer on that so we could let Mark know that we didn't have a lot to say tonight. So as Christie comes up, Chief Myers isn't here tonight. He's been working that wreck down by the tunnel since about noon today, semi and some other vehicles, so he's not here tonight. However, what did he say? Asked Chief Meyer if he wanted me to bring anything up to you guys, make you aware of anything. Chief Meyer's response was, you know me, I don't have much. But he did want me to mention that the coat drive is still on, and he was also bringing up the fact that they'll have chili tomorrow night, that the fire department will.
Did he say where it was going?
No, he did not. I did want to say also, Riverside Park, the pavilion looks really cool, having that lit up with the lights on that pavilion down
Yeah, it
there,
does.
if everybody's noticed that. And I was telling Chad when I first got here tonight, they've had that wreck down at the tunnel today, and so a lot of vehicles have been routed through West Fork. I don't know if you guys noticed that when you came in or not, but I was telling Chad, terrible situation, but what a beautiful city they're getting routed through with all of our Christmas lights up. It really looks nice, so. Christie.
So we are ending the year really strong on our budgets. They're showing $680,000 under budget. Our bank balances are $2,665,000. I did have a council member ask me what made up that number, so I actually have added a second page on the back of that breaks down the balances as of the end of November for each one of our departments. So that'll show you where that 2.6 million is right now. Some of those are restricted accounts, some of them are operational accounts, but that is the breakdown of where all that money is parked. Sales tax is still holding strong, about 8.5%. And the water department had our third month that we were not in the hole on sewer cost. So I think December probably will be that way also. So we will get 4 out of the 12.
I don't know, we've had a couple big rains.
We have, but we're still holding pretty good on it. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that we'll stay in the black for 4 out of the 12 months. Anybody have any questions?
Audits.
Glad you said that.
Heath and I have both talked to Jim. He has given us a date for the 28th to have 18 ready. Did you actually ever talk to him? I know he emailed.
He wouldn't
left
answer.
a message, and Jim emailed back that it would be done by the 28th. We do have 3 quotes from other auditors at this point. We're just waiting on that one to be complete so that we can get that information to somebody, but I would say probably at the January meeting you guys will have those 3 quotes and we'll move forward, but he has given us a specific date that they would be done by the 28th, so see.
Anything else for Christie? No?
Good job on that sales tax. It's all Christie.
So, next, item B, old business. Discuss possible revisions to the maintenance of real property ordinance. Do we have any thoughts on that? I went ahead and took the liberty of jotting down something just to run past you guys, in case there wasn't any thoughts. Does everybody have a copy of the property of real maintenance ordinance in front of them? So, what I thought we would go ahead and add is in section 3.2 where it talks about overgrown vegetation visible from a public street or adjacent property which may be harborage for rats and that other vermin, or cause a site obstruction. So in the first meeting we talked about this. We had we talked some about the Wildlife Federation's recommendations, and it said, you know, for a grass, there was really no need for grass to get that tall. That was not a great attractant to any of these type of insects. Are bees insects?
Yes.
Because I was thinking about that. I really didn't know. So I was thinking maybe we put like a 7-inch height on the grass. That way we've given something to that. But then as far as the main points on that, trying to attract pollinators, and I think this is kind of where we've all talked around, but this is a suggestion. That something along the lines of in section 3.14, West Fork recognizes the importance of pollinators and other beneficial insects, etc. The creation of a designed vegetation bed is permissible. Defined vegetation bed will have a distinct border separating it from the main yard, will be maintained, manicured, and cannot consist of an area totaling more than maybe a quarter of the total yard size. And no single bed could be larger than, say, 100 square feet. You guys want that in front of you to look over?
That sounds great.
Square feet,
We'll put it in.
a fourth of the yard.
So each bed, like if somebody was to make multiple
Okay,
beds.
more than one bed.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
right.
Okay, because that didn't sound right to me.
And again, I was just
Yeah. No, I.
kind of snowballing there, but
Yeah. You were talking faster than I was listening.
sorry. Any thoughts on that? Comments? Is that kind of the direction we were wanting to go?
I think we need to put something in place.
And you're saying the whole total of the yard couldn't be more than how much?
I had put a quarter, but I don't know if that's too much, not enough. I was basically thinking, do we want somebody putting their whole yard in pollinator beds? Or do we want to kind of keep that to
Are you
a
talking about whole yard meaning grass?
whole yard, meaning
Whole yard.
The whole,
everything that's not the house? Or the outshed?
Exposed earth.
What else could be the whole
The
yard?
land.
I don't know, but I mean like the whole
We
property,
do this all that.
Yeah,
the whole property.
yeah, like no more than a quarter of it. So if we took that whole yard, excluding the house, the street, and the outbuildings, and we divided that by 4, they couldn't have more than that amount of space taken up by pollinator beds.
And if they did, those pollinator beds, I mean, even then, the pollinator beds couldn't be more than 10 by 10.
Each bed, yes.
Each bed, yeah. That's fair.
A 10 by 10 bed.
A 10 by 10 bed or a, what did I say,
Well,
100 square foot? A 2 by 50 bed?
Yeah, 100 square feet.
I don't know, I mean.
And I'd be happy for you to draw something up that
No,
we
I'm
can
just saying,
discuss the
I'm
next
not,
meeting.
I don't have any of that, so I wouldn't know about people who do that.
Mm.
Is,
I don't,
does that
Jeff, you do
sound-
some of that.
does that sound normal?
I got beds all the way around my house. I don't know what size they are. I couldn't tell you. How many square feet? I don't know.
A 4th doesn't sound like very much. I mean,
A
if you're
fourth of your
into
property?
that.
So there's some houses on a 1/4 of an acre.
You've got a house.
Well, I guess I'm thinking that,
Shed.
I'm thinking these little lots, you know.
Well,
Well-
you can't think little lots, you gotta think about the big lots, because they're the ones we're worried about.
Are
Got
we
it.
worried about the big one?
Well, Big Lots is where I shop sometimes.
But you know, I guess I'm thinking about, okay, so it's gonna be the same no matter if they have 10 acres.
They still can only put a quarter of it in pollinator beds.
So if they had 10 acres, they could
Well,
only put,
I guess
Yeah,
I'm
Five
not,
acres.
they're gonna be a farm property anyway.
right. I guess I'm more thinking, you know,
Yes.
if you didn't have much grass and you, I don't know. I mean, I'm not
So did you get all of that,
No,
Tom?
I think it's,
You can put something like that for us for next meeting and we can have it in front of us and discuss it.
hey, that's a.
Oh,
we were already
I'll do
doing
that
that.
too.
I think he's
You're
making
gonna
a
say
place
that.
that asks.
Yes.
what
Well,
he's
even if
saying.
it's a small
Is
lot,
that
do you want their, are you asking for their whole lot to be
Do you have any examples?
pollinated? I mean, if it's
of other
literally,
cities?
this is the lot, and here's the house, you want,
Doing shit like this.
Then why are we?
You want it
We-
all to be planted in
Well,
pollination?
I'm thinking I have
But
a
you brought
friend
this up.
and like, I would say they have more than a 4 and they are a big,
But
like
there are
pollinator,
cities all over the
butterflies,
country that do
bees.
stuff like that.
They have like multiple beds and really you're just kind of walking around those. I mean, think about one of the most beautiful houses is right across from the elementary. They have all those flowers, right? Okay, well, they have, I mean, their entire yard is.
They don't have a very big front yard, they got a bigger backyard.
You
Right.
could put it in the backyard and have more space for it.
I don't know, which,
I
So-
bet you it's not a quarter of their yard.
you don't think it is?
No,
Okay.
because they got a big backyard.
Yeah, I know. Like,
Yeah.
So let's do this. I think that's kind of the direction we want to
That's
go.
close, yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
have Tom put something together so
Yeah.
everybody can see it in front of them and then we'll discuss it. So let's table that, Don.
I make a motion, we
I
take
second
it.
I definitely say.
Well, I'm not worried about the
We'll
people
do
who
a
have a lot of
CUP
property, I'm
requirement
worried
if you
about
want
the
more
people
than
who
that.
don't have very much.
Well,
that
just
would-
like that.
I would really like
That ain't half.
That takes care of it.
So
It's most of their yard.
I could hardly get a second when I was trying to approve the agenda, but we had plenty of seconds that time.
Who did?
And it's
Dina.
beautiful.
Yep.
table it,
I just want to make sure that.
No,
All right, we
we
have
have
to
to take this table. We'll just
Yeah.
we'll revisit it.
Right?
We've already got a motion and second to table.
Okay.
I love this. We have a motion and second to table this till the next meeting where Tom will have something in writing in front of us. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. So the next item under old business is discuss possible revisions to the sign ordinance. And,
Can we table it too?
well, I just, the property ordinance is 4 pages, the sign ordinance is 16, so.
And I didn't even make it through a quarter of it.
What? So a couple of things I do want to point out on the sign ordinance. It does need to be revised, in all seriousness. It was last revised in 1998. It definitely has some issues with it. So I'm going to take it for granted that we're probably not prepared to go through this, but I think we need to spend some particular information on some of the verbiage in the definitions. Item U, I think, needs to definitely be looked at. Christy and I got into an argument last night at the Planning Commission meeting.
Which you were correct.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I don't think that very often.
She concedes. So one of the things that I'd ask Christy, Section 7 mentions a sign permit. And it says that if you're going to put a sign in the city of West Fork, that you have to pay the permit fee. Well, nowhere in these 14 or 16 pages, whatever I said, is there a fee. And so I asked Christy, I said, what's the fee for a sign permit? And she said, $40. I said, where'd you get that? She goes, it's in the, no, it's not. So we argued back and forth. I don't know where. So definitely, if we're going to have a rate, we probably need to have that listed somewhere.
Wouldn't that depend on the size of the sign?
Potentially, it does in Farmington.
I mean, we got a billboard up here that you can't even see because there's a tree in front of it.
And so, and if you've read the sign ordinance, you will realize that that billboard is completely out of ordinance. So that would be a non-conforming sign for many reasons. One, our largest sign that you can put in the city of West Fork is 75 square feet. Don, what's the math on that? 10 by 7.5?
Yep.
That's not a very big sign.
That's not. I mean, no, we don't want to be like Fayetteville. You know, they lost the
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel because they wouldn't let them put up their sign.
And so if a sign,
But I would like no billboard.
a sign, so I would kind of like some billboards, to be perfectly honest with you, but I will go ahead and say that in our ordinance, it specifically states that if you're within 650 feet of a scenic corridor, which both Interstate 49 and Highway 79 or 71 have been identified, you can't put it up. So, a couple of things to think about there. Misty, I thought about you. I was reading through this. In most instances, it does mention that campaign signs, for example, or signs detailing special sales events need to be taken down. Pumpkin sales need to be taken down within 72 hours following the event. Okay?
Hey, their event.
What if their event's all summer?
Sold out.
72 hours after the end of it.
I did go look at Farmington sign ordinance for something to compare to, and I gave up right there.
Yeah, agreed.
That's just crazy.
It is.
So, sign limitations, a couple of things we have in there. I'm trying to throw out some highlights that we really need to pay attention to. Signs may be illuminated by incandescent light bulbs. I don't even know that you can buy one of those anymore.
Yeah, black market, but you can.
No fluctuating illumination. No portable A-frame sandwich signs. I don't know what we got against sandwich signs, but they're mentioned several times in here.
That's sad.
Revolving, rotating, or moving signs are not allowed. However, you can put up the flag wave, the little things, if you're having a special sale. So that's kind of contradicting itself. Roof signs are not permitted except for by variance granted by City Council. I don't know if that's something that the City Council really wants to dig into.
A roof sign.
No off-site sign shall be permitted within 660 feet of the right-of-way of a controlled access highway.
Why 660 feet?
I know, why not 661? No off-site sign shall be visible from a designated scenic corridor or highway. So I don't know why we would want to, I mean,
So
essentially, it says no
basically, we
billboards.
can't put any signs up where they be any good.
Right,
Is what
that's
you're
exactly
saying.
right. The only district that you can have an off-site sign, so an off-site sign is, the definition says that it's a sign not on the premises property, right? So if Easy Mart wanted to put a sign over here somewhere saying Easy Mart across town, they can only do that if they're in agriculturally zoned areas. You can't do that in commercially zoned or
I've seen Sarah
anything.
Pumpkins.
Pumpkins will work.
However, those off-site signs can only be no greater than an area of 16 feet, so 4 by 4, unless it's advertising
I
gas.
don't think anybody's gonna see that.
Um,
Is that what we
Well,
have
we
in
got some
it
church
now?
signs
Are you
there.
saying
Yes.
that's what our sign
Yes.
ordinance says
that's
now?
that's the points I'm
Yeah,
trying to make. Is
There's
this?
no way we can do that tonight. We really need to
Right.
get serious about looking at the
Yeah.
whole thing and
Yeah.
being ready to do something, because that's retarded.
And
I know that's not.
one of
what
the districts we can put our biggest signs are the residential office districts.
Where are those at?
Well, we do have a couple, I think, RO.
Maybe one.
But it's still a residential area. Why would that be where you allowed the largest sign?
Most
Who
traffic.
drew this
So-
up?
Somebody copy and pasted that.
So
Yeah, somebody's not.
we have, I mentioned this is 16 pages. And we have worked on the 4-page maintenance of real property for 4 months, 5 months now. My question is,
To be fair, we haven't really worked on it, but people have been gonna bring things and nothing has ever showed up.
Nothing has showed up.
Email or otherwise.
so, do we want to do something as a unit, or do you guys want somebody, me, Christy, and Tom, to put something together for you guys, as Misty's done, tear apart? Or how do you guys want to do
I vote
this?
that you guys put it together.
Okay.
But
Second.
but
Because
also
I
we
mean,
need
you
to,
give us
we
what
need
it
to take
is, so
some
something has to happen. Everything
you,
else
Christy.
will tell us that we're wrong.
How would you like to do that?
I mean, we need to come prepared next month, like we need to take some ownership and not just rely on you all to, we need to read that ordinance that
Okay.
we have from the
Good
previous
luck.
meeting. Some of it you can dig into. You wanna take the first 3 pages and I'll
I've
take
already
the
read the
next
first 3 pages. It was
See?
all I could do to get through those.
It's good nap reading.
Good nap reading.
Well, the only bad thing about this many people working on it, it's gonna take 10 times longer than 3 people.
So are you saying that you would like to head up a committee?
No. I'm
No,
going
we
what
liked
you
your
said.
first option of you and Christy and Tom. Wasn't that what you
I
said?
bet
Misty
Tom
tearing it
has a
down.
very good example where we don't have to like reinvent. the
There you
Yeah,
go, Tom.
Yeah, I don't think we need to
Bring
do
us
that.
an ordinance.
Okay,
Tom will fix it. Tom is the
It's the
man.
fix it man.
Don, can I get a motion?
That,
I'll make a motion for Tom to come up with something.
Second.
and Misty tear it down.
we need to table that.
Can we get a motion to push that to,
January.
January.
let's do February on that.
Okay.
Let's give Tom some time.
February.
I'll second that
Yes.
motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table that till February. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries.
Sure, I would.
All right, so we'll move this meeting into the more fun stuff. New business. Resolution 2022-09 to approve the 2023 budget. Do we have any discussion on the budget?
Since I wasn't there offhand, can you tell like a couple of the major things that were changed?
Major things that were changed. Big talking points of the night.
Yeah.
The biggest talking point of the night was the fact that we decreased the fire department's budget, their equipment budget, by $50,000, which was a big chunk. I think that was really the only discussion we had that night.
You come up 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Big city pay increases. The city's taking money out of reserves in both the general fund and in the street fund.
Pretty big chunk.
Big chunks. Parks is taking money out of reserves.
For what?
Bathrooms.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we were getting somebody to pay for that. But you're talking about the Riverside and not the other one?
Both.
Both, okay.
To accomplish our projects, we're gonna have to draw from our reserves to get bathrooms and, the stage and some of our other projects done.
Okay.
We are still,
That number could go down if we get this.
they're obviously not gonna pull money out if they don't need it, but,
Right.
and that was part of the reason why we cut the equipment budget on fire department, was we're pulling money out of, savings to make the budget this year because of some projects we're doing. But we are still putting, and I don't have that number in front of me, but 333,000, I think, in water and sewer to cover the bond payment, which is about 100,000 more than we put last year.
392, and yes, it is 100,000 more.
Those are the big items that were discussed.
And the police can't get any vehicles this next year.
Yep. Police were told no vehicles this year.
Did the county have any?
Junk?
Huh?
Junk?
No, not all, they're pretty high mileage.
Does that answer your
Yeah.
questions, Missy?
Yeah, I
What
was
is
just,
that would be?
wanting kind of what happened, what was talked about.
Anything else? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to pass the budget?
Motion and second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Item 2, ordinance 509, amending elected official salaries. And that would be mine, as Mr. Winkler pointed out at the beginning of the meeting, and Ann's.
I did have one question on that. I think we got the date wrong on, where is that?
Like, third to last page.
Did we get the date wrong, or did I just read that wrong? In section 2, the salary of the city clerk of the city of Westport for the calendar year, it says 2017 and thereafter. Should that say 2023?
I bet it should.
Whoa.
Good
Good
catch.
eye.
Good eye, yeah.
Oh my. Ann, did you type these up? Just kidding.
Nope.
You see it, Christie?
I don't, honestly.
Section
Oh, I
2?
do. Yeah, yes, I
Yep.
do. Thank you.
Can I ask what they are now and so
You
that I can
can,
see the difference?
you can ask, somebody will have to tell you. Christie, what are they now?
Yours is 14. Ann's is, do you know Ann?
She don't know.
I wanna say 45, 4,000 or 45. Somewhere around there. But I don't know.
That's the year, right?
Yes.
15's going to
So it's
5540.
5540.
and you think it's 45 around?
Huh?
You think it's 4,500 around?
A year, yeah.
Ish.
If there's no other
I
discussion,
motion to I say dispense with the rule on both ordinances if you want to. There's another one coming.
so we can suspend the rule on both of this and the next ordinance.
Ordinances for the
Okay.
evening.
The raises are in the budget that we approved?
Yes.
And this is required by state law, that's why
Yeah.
we're doing the budget, it's required that we have an ordinance.
Right.
for the elected official salaries.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Suspend the rules first, if you would.
Let's suspend the rules and then approve it.
Okay. So do a roll call.
Second on the, yeah, to have a second on the suspension,
Second.
and then a roll call, yes, sir.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the motion to suspend the rules for ordinance 509 and 510.
Yep.
Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
Marty Lindaberry,
Yes.
John Collins,
Yes.
Dina McKnight,
Yes.
Don Rollins.
Yes.
May I read the title for that first one?
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 472, setting salaries and benefits for the elected officials of the city of West Fork, Arkansas, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Now you can entertain a motion to pass.
Now, make a motion to pass.
I make a motion that we approve the raises.
Second.
And I want to say that I think the mayor should be back up a couple years, because I would never have wanted to wear that hat. That's amazing, the job that you've done with all this stuff that's been going on.
Thank you.
You deserve it.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 509, amending elected officials' salaries. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries.
I'm sorry, Mayor, you gotta take a roll call on that.
Oh.
Forgive me.
Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
Marty Lindaberry,
Yes.
John Collins,
Yes.
Dina McKnight,
Yes.
and Don Rollins.
Yes.
Last thing.
That motion passes, that's right.
I don't want
Ordinance,
to
yeah.
risk your raise. By doing that wrong.
Next, ordinance 510, amending procedure for subdivision plat approval. We have suspended the rules for this ordinance, and Walter will tell us what we are doing with this.
And while he's getting up, I'll read the title, Mayor. It's an ordinance to amend section 1504.03 procedure for subdivision plat approval in the West Fork Municipal Code.
Okay, so a few changes. Section B, under general procedure, we struck out the first line and then gave it more of a specific wording rather than what was the vague, what is currently vague. And then same thing, B goes in a little more vague. We give it a little bit more specificity. Then into C, same thing, we reworked the deadlines for when the documents need to be presented to the city. Then 2 gets left alone. 3, same thing, a little refinement on the schedule or the deadlines for when the planning commission is reviewed. Then some cleanup, some language in the final plat general procedure. It was pretty, there wasn't anything real controversial because most of it didn't change. It was more just cleaning up the language.
So what Walter is trying to tell you,
Yeah.
they don't have any of that in front
They
of
don't
them.
have any of that. Okay.
What
then
Walter
there
is
you go.
trying to tell you is, in the middle of redoing our zoning ordinance, there are some things that have came up that are a little bit, need to happen a little bit sooner rather than later. What we have found is our zoning ordinance does not satisfactorily require developers to submit a drainage plan with their preliminary plat. We would like to change that. We also do not currently have the requirement, our current requirement is it has to be in within 7 days, 5 days?
9 days.
9 days before planning commission reviews it. And that was all well and good back in the days when we weren't having a engineer look over these plans. But the engineering firms, Nick, I'm sure will back this up, they would like a few more days than 9 to look over some of these designs and make sure that the city is protected.
What are you proposing?
Well, it left open to what we decide is an appropriate.
What do you think is appropriate?
It'll be case by case basis, you know.
Nick,
So
what
like,
do you think is appropriate?
as an engineer.
It would really depend on the submittal. I
The
think.
size.
Because like it's both on what they have to present, and then it goes into what our review. So when they present us with something, and then we would hand it over to Nick to look at, same thing. So it
Right.
gives him more than 9 days for us to then say, these are the changes we want you to make.
Okay.
So if someone came to us, for instance, Jan, and they're gonna develop 10 acres and it's on the side of a hill, we're probably gonna ask them to get that preliminary plat submitted to us, say 30 days prior to the planning commission ruling on that.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, just wondering, I mean, just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not a lot of time.
Well, it's not, but.
I mean,
In the grand scheme of things, it's
Right.
not,
It's not, you know. that's
but
not-
it's, there's no way
But
for the
it's
city to
reasonable.
protect itself with.
Right, that's what I'm saying, that's
Yeah.
not giving us
Yeah.
a lot of extra time.
But it's still reasonable.
And we don't want to be hamstringed by set days, set time limits.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of, if you guys remember about a year ago, we pushed, I say push, that's probably a bad word, but we pushed through an amendment before we passed Smith Street subdivision, giving us greater, not control, but better requirements on the sewer installations, the water installations, the road, the way the roads were built. That also gave us a little bit more control to say, if this subdivision is going to affect the street, down the street, the subdivider or the developer would need to pay for those improvements as well. So the city can
Right.
has some teeth to mark there. And so this is another instance of that where we've ran up against some things. We're like, you know what, we're working on the ordinance, but we need to get this taken care of.
Sounds good.
Yep. So we had our public hearing last night. There was 0 opposition and there was 0 public in general. So
Busy time of year.
it was very busy. Yeah. So we voted for approving a recommendation of approving it,
Right, okay.
making these changes to the procedure.
Is there any questions on the council?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 510, amending the procedure for subdivision plat approval. Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
Marty Lindaberry,
Yes.
John Collins,
Yes.
Dina McKnight,
Yes.
Don Rollins.
Yes.
And that motion passes. Or that ordinance passes. Item D, other business. Is there anything the council would like to bring up tonight? Outside of the agenda?
Wasn't we gonna do this?
We we amended the agenda for that,
You didn't write it down?
John, and I did not put it on, new business.
He's the only one that didn't write it down.
Is that a motion, John?
Yes.
Motion.
Bring it on up, chief, before we move into new business.
This used to be a 2-page deal, it's turned into a 10-page MOU now.
We on the sign ordinance again?
Has to do with the,
Sergeant Doggins wrap us up.
no, that's coming from the Criminal Justice Institute. That's their little baby. They wanted to add some stuff to it, so. Everything, the meat and potatoes is the same, it's still the 65-35 agreement. One thing that has changed, we're gonna allow the SRO to go like a week ahead of time when the teachers show up there and do more training and spend more time getting to know the new teachers and get done what he needs to get done. I know he says it's real hard that first week of school to be trying to get stuff done when they're riding school and all that. We went through this literally section by section. They pulled out some stuff I didn't agree with. Some stuff we just didn't agree on and we just added it, but we came to somewhat of an understanding, and I think it's all about the standard stuff. You guys have any questions about it?
So we're not making a West Fork School District Police Department or anything like that?
No,
Yay.
they talked about it. They think that's a huge liability, is what they think.
I don't think so.
What I do think they're headed towards is possibly arming some of the teachers. Is that what they're thinking about?
I
don't know. I don't want to say.
I would say it's been discussed in subcommittees that will ultimately provide information to the board to make a decision. No decisions have been made, but in order to meet the recommendations that the state has put down, without incurring astronomical costs, as in hiring multiple police officers. That's about the only way to meet.
There was talk about an SRO in every school, but that comes with a high price, and they'd have to pay 100% of that. So you're looking at $55,000 an officer plus equipment and cars, and so they're discussing some different things. I'll know more about that later.
The last, one of the things I had heard that they were considering, like, say, like me, where I work 4 10-hour days, that a school, I could apply for a job 1 day a week, and then somebody else would work it another day of the week, somebody else another day, so they'd have coverage. But like you said, that's at a pretty astronomical cost.
They had it set up perfect. We had one of our officers was a teacher there in the middle school, so we had somebody armed there all the time that was also an officer. But he's moved to a different district now and making more money, so that kind of did away with that.
And in that model, you'd all have to be certified SROs.
Yeah, the way the state has done it now, you'd have to go to.
See, that's what Lincoln did last year. Use part-timers as their SRO.
Yeah.
And every one of them was required. Anybody that does that, even the teacher would have to go.
They got to go to that 40-hour class, and then there's some other classes on top of that they haven't taken.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, but it is.
It's still. Is there any questions on this?
Any other questions on
So
that?
you're okay with all of this 10
Yeah,
years of agreement?
Yeah.
He should be.
We worked it
No,
out.
I'm just asking in case he's
Yeah.
found something since he looked at it.
No,
I make a motion that we,
Second.
There was a lot of haggling. So.
yeah.
Yeah, I gathered that. I'll second.
We have a motion and second to pass this memorandum with the school. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Thank you, John. Again, we move back to item D, other business. Was there any other business from the council? No? So we'll move into mayor's comments. And on the back of your packet, I just want to call attention to Travis has completed Arkansas Fire Training, or Inspector 1 at Arkansas Fire Training. That's a fantastic accomplishment for him. So if you guys see him, be sure and congratulate him on that. That was a big deal. And we are glad that he has completed that. We already mentioned the Christmas parade is tomorrow night at 6:30 is the parade. The tree lighting will take place approximately 30 minutes after the parade ends. And the idea with that is some of the fire department and some of the other first responders weren't able to get down to see the tree lighting because they were still putting away equipment. So we will line up, we will meet over at the fire department around 6 o'clock to catch our chariot, and parade will start at 6:30. Expectation is probably 6:15 that will end. Around 6:45 we will have the tree lighting. The band is going to march. I'm sorry, 6:45. The parade will end, not 6:15. 6:45 the parade will end. Around 7:15 we should have the tree lighting. The band is going to march behind the parade. They're going to peel off and play as the parade winds down and as everybody gathers back for the tree lighting. So that's kind of the idea of that.
There'll be caroling before.
Caroling in the meantime, yeah, out here. A couple other things I'd like to highlight, just because John hasn't made a motion yet. Tonight is my 6th anniversary of being mayor and my 19th anniversary of marriage.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations on both.
I started my first anniversary, or my first time of sitting here being mayor, was also my wedding anniversary. It's kind of funny that they coincided, but thankfully this isn't my last anniversary. But
And you're still married?
Did you accidentally send the city flowers and send your wife a speech or something?
I did, yes.
Well, Thursday, me and Myra will be married 32 years. Just a
Congratulations.
little
Wow.
short time.
Wow.
Oh, very
Yeah.
Yeah.
19.
Do what?
What'd you say? What'd you say?
And Isaac was.
All right. John,
I make a motion with you.
Second.
motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. We are adjourned.
At least you said that.